What's up guys, it's Talon here. In today's video we have another viewer VOD review in store. Today we're going to be taking a look at Synce and how he performed in the solo Cash Cup. But before I get into this VOD review guys, if you do enjoy my content or find what I'm telling you helpful, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. Also, if you wish to support me in another way, use code TALON.FN in the Fortnite item shop, #ad. But without further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright guys, as you can see on the screen we have Synce POV. This is going to be one of his better games from the solo Cash Cup. I believe he's going to have 3 kills and he's going to have a top 5 placement. The end game is pretty solid. Let's just get in the start with this early off-spawn fight. Now I'm going to tell you that it drags out for a significant amount of time. He's able to get med kits off, such and such, so we're going to kind of fast forward this. He does take some good angles, however the opponent he's fighting is not super strong. He lets him get off med kits, doesn't really push the opponent too well, and fortunately for Synce right here, actually he should die if the opponent actually realizes he has a gold scar in his inventory, but instead he uses the sub. Now I don't know why move forward to take the bid pot. Now he's blocking off the way right here. You want as many layers between you and your opponent when you're trying to get your heals off. You should know not going to get off. The opponent is relatively healthy. Now the opponent fries, good crosshair placement though right there in a decent peak, and that allows an easy elimination off spawn, but the opponent doesn't use the scar, uses the gold scar. It's a GG's. Let's hop into endgame here. I want to get us a full endgame, so basically from moving is what I always like to do. Let's see where we're at. We're almost at moving. And then we see a good loadout here, right? Yeah, 6, let's see. Be right here, I believe. Yep, perfect. Okay. So we see a fantastic loadout for endgame right here. We have a pepper rotate. Very good, very good Arkham. Big on the peppers. And no need to commit to anything. We have a long rotation. Doing a great job of getting up and ahead. We can go back to the front. Now 29 builds, that might be something to go for, because I believe we're going to run out of mats here and we're going to get very lucky. But playing a little bit more aggressive on that refresh, especially when we have Chug Cannon, is definitely worth. And we have peppers, right? We can sit in back of the tarp for a significant amount of time, and that's what we're going to do here. I like doing that with peppers. It gets you from back to front very quickly. And you don't have to waste as many mats. Doing a good job. Probably just should ignore that and try to just worry about positioning. We get in. And then bad mat awareness, right? We don't even box up. And that's why maybe going when we're at 20-ish builds, going for that refresh full on. Now, Pepper is obviously going to save us, and we're going to get an important 2 picks thanks to the Chug Cannon. But we do a good job of being patient here. We pop a Pepper. And we're going to get a nice little pickup. We're going to let, this is playing this correctly, we're going to let the lobby develop in front of us. And we're going to sit here. Now, no need to look for peaks, right? We don't have any builds. So leaving that open peak's a minor mistake, but we catch this guy rotating out late. We pick him up. And now this opponent comes through. And then we get a nice little free elimination. We have Chug Cannon and Pepper, so we're not even too concerned about taking. We make sure to take another Pepper. Again, now nearly died to the ground being on the floor, but smartly use our Chug Cannon. And look at our mats now, 95. We've gotten 2 bodies. What I like what Synce does here. Synce does not go for anything at all. And this Pepper gets him immediately, like I said, from back to front. Now, just a little bit of waste of a mats, just a minor mistake. This is a solid layer. He's got a lot of clear space around him to rotate. And I believe he's going to get a good pull here for 8. If I remember correctly. Yeah, decent pull for 8. And decides to play low, and that's fine with 67 builds. I don't mind that at all. Now, playing like this incredibly open, we see that cracked shield. We obviously don't know the status of his white health, and we have a good amount of mats. But the part of being successful, more successful in endgame, which turns a 3-kill top 3 into, you know, a 4, 5, 6, 7 kills, we're playing low with mats. Like, we could afford to be a little bit aggressive here. Maybe go jump on that guy's wall. We cracked his shield. We're in 8 zone. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of mats. Like, we don't really know the situation. So maybe, possibly. We have Pepper, right? Position doesn't really matter. I like this right here. We cut everyone off in front of us, though. But I believe we're still going to get sprayed out. Maybe I think also what probably dissuaded him from being super aggressive is his lack. And that's being under the stairs, getting dropped down on the floor. Just make sure you're probably on floor cone. We see a little bit, just like little insufficient amounts of mats being wasted. Like a minor thing, but it does, if you do it constantly, it can be a problem. And we still have a decent amount of mats. But notice how we just haven't gotten that impact that we need. And we have Chug Cannon, we had to use the Chug Cannon. And that's what I think that it comes back to when you have that 30 builds and you crack that opponent's shield in 5th. Play a little bit more aggressive on it, especially on a Pepper. It might give you that refresh where you don't have to be basically shambles. Now he got 2 refreshes due to Chug Cannon and Peppers. Now this is also unfortunate. This actually is a really good job here. He's going to get his kill yoinked, which is not only going to rob him of HP, but this person's also going to get a huge damage crack on him. He does get some nice return damage, but we don't get any of those mats. We don't basically get anything now. And also a minor mistake here. Who's our biggest threat in the sandwich? It's usually the person above us. So looking down here when you're this low, you got to really focus up. You're in a horrible spot. There's literally almost nothing you can do, but I always recommend if the person's above freely, not in builds, you don't know if that bottom person's low or not looking for anything. If they're box playing more passive, you want to be the guy who's out open on height looking. Minor thing, not a big deal, but I just say a little bit more aggressiveness for picks would maybe extend this into more points in a higher placement. A lot of good stuff though. Good use of the Peppers, good understanding of meta with the Chug Cannon as well. Just a little bit maybe more aggressive to maybe get some picks, and I'm also a big fan of playing safe, but it's just to take that next step to being like good in a solo cash up and performing consistently, getting you those extra picks, that's going to really extend your games even in like more stacked lobbies. But let's get into another good game from Synce, and then we're going to get into some games where definitely some things need to be improved on. Alright guys, we are in another good game of Synce. This is going to be a second place, but again with only 1 kill, and this 1 kill is actually going to come here in this mid-game. We're going to take a look and see what allowed him to get this kill. Now he's obviously weak, he's getting pressured from Steamy. Opponent is actually pushing him quite aggressively. Now after he's full healed, this layer is horrendous. There you go, good layer switch right there. Definitely don't think that was an optimal to play. Now that peak right there, not very good. It's much more effective when you do the 3 tile, the peanut butter and cone. It's much more effective to do a window. One, it gives you more protected, allows you to be more protected when you do it, and you're just less open, and you still get the same amount of piece control. Good players will counter that. Trying to take. Doing a good job. I like, so the 2 box space is very, very good. Now, unfortunately, just doesn't realize that it isn't his floor or gets taken. But the 2 box gives him a ton of angles. Now, playing aggressive here. Now, this play I don't agree with. I understand his piece control and a lot of stuff. However, you're at health disadvantage, right? You haven't touched this opponent once, so you have to assume with him pushing you, he's 200, and you're at 105. You're 1 good pub shot away from dying. You just do a good job of catching him off, and I think the opponent also whiffs. Opponent does whiff, right? You see the shotgun shot there. And then now you turn the fight even, and it's just a total 50-50. And you have 6 minis, 3 bigs, and 100 builds in your inventory already. Like, play a little bit more safe in that situation. Or if you want to do that double edit, don't fall down, right? When you're, especially at health disadvantage, like this is really, you're very fortunate that opponent misses that shot. If opponent doesn't miss that shot, you're pretty much dead. He has to hit, if he has a blue pump, or if he hits you any portion of his head. I'm talking, if you want to do this double edit, like this, and then stay on that back floor piece, and then not fall in and go for a shot, or maybe place a wall and go for a window peek. You see Noah Riley do that a lot. Just something that can be done, because the only thing that allows you to win this fight is the opponent actually whiffs his shot. And then as you can see, he definitely hits you more than once. Or twice with the air would have been done if he hits a shot. But let's get into endgame here, because obviously there's going to be some success here. Hopefully we can get it quickly into moving. So this is going into, let's get it right onto 5th. Here, we'll fast forward it here at 4 speed, and then we'll get it in. Again, we're pretty set. Look at our loadout. We have a good amount of builds. We have peppers. We have launchpad. Okay, 14, so not a significant amount of players. And 112 mats. We could maybe think, oh, let's maybe make a high play here. We have a pretty far pool. And so we want to save our mats for later, so hopefully we're padding here. Hopefully we're padding here. Hopefully we sit here, pad, maybe look for a height play. Because we got a long way to go. Almost the entire lobby is actually in front of us. Now it's pretty risky here to... Kind of just a little indecision. That was the right play though. That should automatically be going through your head before. You just pad from the box, wait till zone. Go front to back. Now landing ultimate low isn't that fantastic. I actually don't mind this though. You're actually kind of gifted with a pad right here as well. And like I think the theme right here, I think for this value is just going to be a little bit more aggressive. It's like we're very passive playstyle, which is okay for sure. And this is also might be the problem with like relying on that pad, because it's on such a low level that most of the people are just going to build on top of it. We also saw that in Trio VOD review that I recently did, viewer VOD review, is on these low level pads you're usually not going to be granted that, especially if they're just old and recycled. Now, notice how many mats we have. We're like 600. We're making no plays for height. We're making no aggressive plays. We could make a pop a pep. We could make a pop a pep for a height play. It actually may not be that beneficial because of how far the terrain is, so I actually don't mind it. But height would still be easier. You could just build down. You're sitting very open in wood, too, and end. It just doesn't look good as well. It makes you an easy target. We don't see what happens there. But your peps are allowing you to stay ahead. But you're playing on just bottom layers a lot. And this is what I'm talking about, is like the aggressiveness. There needs to be like active attempts at refreshes. There needs to be... Now we make a high play when we have significantly less mats. And then mechanically we don't execute. Oh, we do. We actually do get the high ground, but the opponent may fight for it. See, that could have been our height earlier when we launch pad. Does a great job of breaking. We make it work. We make it work. But we only have 2 builds. So I think that's what's going to kind of prevent us. I think it might even be just a little bit of a choke. We just don't have the mats. And it's just, again, it goes back to the same issue where... And then we're going to die to fall, I think. And it goes back to the kind of the same issue of just lack of aggressiveness. When you get that, especially in lobbies where there's like 10 in first moving, like you want to play more and more aggressive is definitely going to reward you. You're already at that like high placement. You need to start maximizing with a little bit of kills. Just from what I see, it's like a very passive, like content to play the low ground and just get ahead, which is completely fine. But once you get into that threshold, just let's say you do that for the first game, you get first 2 games, you get 2 top 5 placements. What's going to probably more than likely end up happening, you get better lobbies where that low ground is just not going to be the most optimal to always have. Like having peppers is fantastic, but being a little bit more aggressive, looking for picks and plays and looking for eliminations and taking high plays. Just overall, I think aggressiveness, but good use of the peppers, a good capitalization with that. Peppers, obviously there is a game plan and it works, but we're going to take a look now at the games that weren't so good, where the game plan isn't working as well and isn't being as executed. Alright, we are into Synce's third game that we are looking at. This is going to be a 30th place with 1 elimination. I'm going to be going over kind of 2 games where you lasted a decent while. When you get in that 30th place, those really hurt you even more than games where you die immediately off spawn, because you don't rack up a ton of points and you don't get a lot of eliminations, as opposed to where if you die right off spawn immediately and you've run up your games, or you can sit there and wait and then get lesser point lobbies. But these long long games where you die out in mid game are so harmful to your cash cup. We're going to see him fight initial off spawn with this particular opponent. It gets sniped, which is incredibly unfortunate. Now, I don't understand that play at all. I'm going to say just one, you have very bad loot. You've just been sniped. You do have mats. And we see this again going on with even one of the eliminations from last game is taking these 50-50s at health disadvantage, right? You're fighting a person you've done no damage to, so you more than likely just in that you have to assume they're max, right? You always want to think worst case scenario. And then we're 50-50ing down into the box with an AR. We basically get full boxed, and then we're fighting a pump when we have gray tack, which is the worst shotgun besides a gray lever. They're both pretty bad, and a gray pump is at times better than a blue tack, just the way the guns are. But we don't play slow. We get sniped here. Our initial thought when we get sniped here, I mean, look at our loadout. 86 builds. We have 6 minis. We get sniped here. Now, I don't know if we mean to fall down here. I don't think we do. But this is just a super 50-50 play. And then we try to cow, and we're full box. And now our opponent misses 2 shots. But good mover right there, kind of bails you out of the situation. But as soon as you get sniped, just slow down the pace. You have the mats, you have the builds, you even have a big thought down below you know you can go and get. But let's take a look later on and see kind of what leads to us dying right before that important end game. Because it happens a couple times. Most of this tournament, I would say, was very topsy-turvy. It was very first or second place with 1 or 2 kills, or it was a dying off super early or dying mid. It wasn't like anything that was incredibly consistent. Now this fight looks like it drags out on edge for a while. This also might be a contributing factor. Let's see. Good retake to start off. Gave you some credit for the retake. But getting off to a just miss her shot right there. Ooh, good 100 crack. We've had some opportunities to finish the fight, just not do it. Now, I see this aggressive here. Now, this is something that I'm going to also talk about. When there's a... I'll kind of play it back in slow-mo and just so some of the... Like, we get 100 crack here. And if we're going to play aggressive and not really worry about minis, right here we've got to capitalize on that situation, getting that cone down. Now look at some things that could be improved on here for sure. We're going on this angle. This is actually a left-hand peek right here, the way we're coming from. Now the opponent does a good job of waiting until you pull out your pickaxe. But if you got an opponent off shield, a great way to win this most times is just pickaxe bait, because a lot of opponents will open up, especially if you're early on cash cup, and he cracks you off. And notice one, you're not even close enough to the wall where you're going to hit it. And you try to place a stair on a cone, which doesn't work. Now this experience has kind of gone downhill. We've taken 2 cracks, and I understand taking cow over big pots for solo cash cup. There's another missed opportunity right there as well. We just got to be much more crucial, much more calculated with our shots. Drop down here to low. Mats aren't an issue. Creating a lot of space, which is good, especially when we're low. We're just not... We have a couple opportunities. There we finally hit our shots. Opponent he's fighting has not done a fantastic job of also getting his opportunities as well. Now we decide to cow away. Cows I don't think are that good for disengaging fights. Nice little 40 crack. Oh, gotta hit that shot. And then poor reload management. Definitely was better than that opponent, but just I would say just a little bit of a choke early on. Just poor reload management, a lot of missed shots there, maybe a little bit nerves being a factor with just jumping onto the solo cash cup. There wasn't anything that I saw that was just like glaringly obvious other than you kind of got caught being over aggressive. One thing too that I'll give advice for solo cash cups, when I see controller, I don't know if you're controller sync, if you are, it even works for mouse and keyboard, but one thing, I very rarely see Day ever take out his pickaxe. I see one, it's horrible. You have to individually swat from your pickaxe. You can't just click. You usually have to have some sort of bind for it. I think it is so much better to just do it from AR pressure. And one with AR pressure, most people don't open on AR pressure, right? You open on pickaxe swings. You don't usually open when someone's spamming your wall because you're afraid usually of getting just, if they have good crosshair placement, you'll just get lasered, especially with an AR. So maybe just instead of when you're going for that wall, you use the AR pressure and then maybe go for a take and then shotgun. TNA Muzz does that incredibly well as well. Constantly spraying builds to get him and then uses that to turn into piece control and fights. So just in the future do that and just, again, maybe some nerves, a lot of missed shots, aim, but not a consistent problem usually, but just something that just to be aware of. Just hopping on the first cash cup, nervous, want to do well, miss a lot of shots and die to opponent, and more than likely that we probably shouldn't have died up. Let's take a look at another game that could have potentially done better. Alright guys, we are in another game of Synce. This is going to be a 3-kill, 44th place. Again, dying in mid-game is usually the most detrimental to success in your cash cup, so we're going to go over some good things and go over some bad things. Now, this is going to be a very good, kind of lucky situation off spawn. We've seen him drop here already at this house before, but one thing I'm going to talk about, just good prioritization right here. So these two people kind of land each other on the gun, and then you see this opponent gets cracked, but he's focusing the person with the gun. That's a smart play, right? So he gets the siphon on the guy with the gun, eats a little bit, but because it's off spawn, the person has no mats, and he gets a free 2 eliminations to start off. Always going to be good to boost. Now he's also got more mats in case someone lands. I doubt that's going to be the case. But let's just go into another engagement here, and then let's take a look at the mid-game engagement that got him a smidgen bit in trouble. And yes, it actually does look like he gets into another engagement later on. Here's someone crouching up right here. Now just jumping down wildly, I wouldn't recommend that. Maybe try to build down or use some piece control. That can get you cracked against better players. Good block right there. Fantastic. That was really, really good for a lot of reasons. It's kind of, the Mongrel Classic is kind of dead. And so what I'm going to talk about here is just something he did really well. Now, he scuffed it up at just a smidgen mechanically. So we're going to get into the building. But right here, first of all, we recognize where the opponent is. We see him right there. We see him through the window. We place a front wall. Go for the Mongrel Classic. And we got the full box here, right? And instead of just going for the shot Mongrel Classic, we basically back up, create a right-hand peek. Right here. Hold it. And then we make an edit with our pickaxe. Now the opponent is actually doing a good job of turning that a right-hand peek. We scuffed a little bit, but this is really smart right here. We edit, place a cone down, create a right-hand peek. The opponent just basically 50-50s in, and because of that, we get the first crack. Crack, boom. Then we just have to hit our shots. Now the opponent's going to have to hit probably 3 a shot at attack. And that's exactly what ends up happening. Intelligent, smart, peek right there, and that's how we end those fights very, very quickly. Just good, maybe just a little bit better mechanics on the actual, but good use of the technique of not just going for the Mongrel Classic and trading damage. Good escape route, creating another right-hand peek, and the good recognition the opponent's going to psycho through with a ramp that's already edited there. And since he's basically full piece control, the opponent doesn't have another play. Just good recognition right there. Now, let's get into the mid-game engagement that allows him, unfortunately, to be eliminated here in the mid-game. We'll just kind of fast forward through here till he gets into it. So that's the person that eliminated him, so I'm going to slow it down. Now this is probably more than likely him getting beamed out of a vehicle, if I had to guess. Yep. So the person's right there in the vehicle. Oh my goodness, he gets fried. Okay, so one minor mistake I already want to just talk about there is this is where you kind of want to burn your mats. Like we're 4-3-1s, we don't have the best mats, but in this situation, one, we also kind of, when we're going up a hill, maybe we want to go through an area where we're not, when we're driving this car, maybe go more wide left, tank a little bit more storm so we have more visual, because this is just kind of a bad, anyone could be sitting on top of that hill, so maybe just avoid that. But right here, once we get fried, we need to be burning our mats like crazy, right? We're 12 HP. We can, if we play this very, very well, we can at least at a minimum get 100 shield on, and then if we really, really play well, get some good counter shots, maybe get a good, just get a med kit off. But notice right here, we sit here on the scuff flare, we create, and then we go for a mini. This is just, in one with this wall is one tap. These are all just kind of one tap walls. We don't create a lot of space right here. And this is what ends up getting us killed instantly. We just get insta sprayed through. We don't use our mats. You'll see almost when any professional player gets just cracked to significant low HP, it's creating a lot of boxes, creates a lot of space. And why is that? Is if a good opponent will track you, even if, especially if you're doing it at hard mats, and if you use and burn through your mats, you've created all that space, and then you can go back to an area that has more fully built builds, and then you can get your heals off. And with 12 HP, that should really be your priority. But basically healing when there's 3 builds that are essentially one tap to a pickaxe, that's exactly what's going to end up happening. Spray through. So just something to go over. When you're going up the hill with a car, make sure that you do it to the point where you have line of sight so you can see in front. You don't want to just get caught. The car is extremely loud. That's kind of why I don't like rotating with cars, even though they're almost essential for getting good positions in stack lobbies. But players will sit and wait and fry, and that's exactly what ends up happening. So in this situation, just better use of your materials to make sure and try and get your heals off is the biggest correction. Well guys, that is going to do it for today's viewer VOD review. I hope that you did enjoy. If you did, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on post notifications. And I hope I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.